Mommy's hair is just crazy today. You want to go play with Daddy? Check, check,
Go
check,
up in the
check.
Bed. Go up in the bed.
Is that what
Go
Mom?
give Mommy a hug.
Hi. Can you have a hug? And you go, what are you doing, you nut? Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be a little bit of a mommy video. I was in an inspired mood to try to be a Pinterest mom. Now, let me just say, I have tried my fair share of Pinterest ideas. I do really love Pinterest. I got into Pinterest when I was pregnant. I got really into Pinterest because that's pretty much all I could do was sit on the couch and look through Pinterest all the time. So that was like the extent of like my ambition when I was pregnant was Pinterest, and I pinned a bunch of things I wanted to do and try when Oliver was a baby, when he got a little bit older. I think with Pinterest, you never know how it's gonna turn out. It never turns out as amazing for me as it does for the Pinterest pictures that I have pinned. So I did want to try a few fun things to do with kids. My mom did a lot of projects with us when we were kids, like art projects, and she really encouraged creativity. And every time, you know, a new season would roll around, she would like decorate the house and really include us, and we would make all sorts of like homemade Play-Dohs and different things. And so that's definitely something I want to implement as a mother, just really encouraging a fun, creative environment in my home, and something where Oliver is just really encouraged to express that side of him. And, you know, I enjoyed it too. So I wanted to share with you some of the Pinterest ideas that I had that I kind of recreated and made my own, and also my grades, what I graded them after I tried them out for myself. So hopefully you guys will enjoy this video, and we'll just jump right in. Okay, so let's start with the crayon soap. Now this idea looked really fun to me. All it took was melting some glycerin soap, which you can get at Michael's. You want to microwave it in 15-second increments, making sure that the soap does not burn. So you pull it out, you stir it a little bit until it is completely melted. Now that you have your melted soap, it's time to add the coloring. Now, this coloring is completely safe because it is soap coloring. Now, the downside to this recipe is that some people may not like to use that on their kids, and I totally get that. I think the concept for soap crayons are to be more fun and playful and colorful, and not necessarily to wash your body with. So that was going to be my approach for it. I made multiple different colors. I tried to add a lot of soap coloring so that it looked really deep, because I wasn't sure how effective the crayon was going to be when drawing in the bathtub. So I didn't have the molds that they had on Pinterest, but I did have these molds, so I thought that these would be fun. They're kind of like seashells, maybe colored seashell crayons. You can kind of make it with whatever molds that you have, but I definitely wanted to try these out and see how they work. I stuck these in the fridge for a few hours, and then they were ready to go. Super colorful. I did allow Oliver to use these in the bath, and my biggest complaint was that they kept slipping out of his hands, and they didn't really color that great. I will say, though, that when he was playing with these in his high chair, he liked them a little bit more, and they're definitely fun, maybe more enjoyable for kids who are older. So the color payoff for these wasn't amazing, and they kept slipping out of his hands in the bathtub, so I have to give this project a B-, although maybe something fun for older kids. Okay, let's try some colored slime, which I totally remember from the 90s. This is actually pretty easy. All you need is psyllium husks. Now this is like Metamucil, or you can find this really at any drugstore, and you're gonna also use food coloring. So you're gonna mix 1 tablespoon of clear fiber supplement to 1 cup of water. So you can add any type of food coloring that you want, but I definitely recommend going light on the color. The more you add, the more likely it will be to bleed on your hands when you're playing with it. That was kind of one of the downsides. So it does come out pretty easily with soap and water, but that's something to keep in mind. You want to give it a good mix and microwave for 5 minutes. Be sure to keep an eye on it because it will bubble over. So I made this in a few different colors. I added the fiber supplement to water, microwaved it for 5 minutes. As you can see, it's starting to bubble up there. and you will see that it, after being microwaved, it kind of has this really unique slimy texture and consistency, and it pulls away from the container. So I made this in 4 different colors, and it's very hot when it first comes out. So you can make this with older kids, but for my son, I made this when he was napping, and I waited for it to cool down before I showed it to him or let him play with it. As it cools down, it kind of creates an even more sticky, slimy feel to it, but it's much more it's less wet, it's more movable. So I put this in a container and I stored it away. The biggest downside to this was that the cooler it got, the harder it got, and also it definitely had a little bit of payoff on our hands, which is pretty easy to wash off with soap and water, but it can be kind of a mess. So he did find it really interesting, and it definitely kept his attention for a little bit, but I would have to give this project a C, just because I don't think it was the cleanest project to work with. So this project is a twist on a childhood favorite of mine, and that is Play-Doh. This is not difficult to make at all. I love making Play-Doh because it's completely non-toxic and actually edible, so it's the perfect DIY for kids because they might stick it in their mouth. So starting with 1 tablespoon of olive oil to 2/3 cup of water, I'm gonna bring it to a boil. In a separate bowl, I'm gonna add 1 cup of flour, a 1/4 cup of salt, and 1 Kool-Aid packet. Once the water has come to a boil, you're going to slowly add it to your dry mixture and just mix it all together. And you're gonna mix it until it creates the Play-Doh consistency. Now I wish you could smell this because it smells like Kool-Aid, and Kool-Aid smells amazing. This is rich with cherry scent. It smells so good. I almost ate it, to be honest. And I also made a grape version. Play-Doh is just a fun thing for kids of all ages, starting even as young as my son, 20 months. Even if they stick a little bit in their mouth, it's not harmful, and usually they spit it out because of the salt. I just took it and stored it in these little containers I got at Michael's, and you can store this and bring it out for playtime. It lasts, I would say, for a few weeks, and then I think you want to throw it away. This is a great project to make with older kids who will enjoy the process, but it's just a sensory experience for children like my son's age, and you can make different shapes and you can encourage them to do it, and it's just fun, and it kept him busy for a really long time. So out of all the projects I made, I think that this one is the most classic and my favorite. If you haven't already, definitely try this with your kids. It's a classic DIY recipe for moms and kids, so it gets an A+ for me. Finally, we have do-it-yourself sensory water bottles. These are so fun. They're just really fun to look at, and they're great for toddlers especially. So it is very stimulating. There's no exact recipe. It's just one of those projects you can totally have fun with. So I started filling half of my water container, my watertight container, with blue water that I used food coloring with. I topped the container off with some vegetable oil, and then I added some glitter and just some fun beads and jewels from Michael's, and then I made one in green as well. And you can put whatever you want in there. I think the key is to just have the oil and water mixture, and you can mess around with the food coloring because I had to go a little light with it so that you could see the items inside of the water bottle. If you have a really young child and you're really concerned about them opening it up, you can definitely hot glue gun the top so that they cannot open it, or just make sure that you're monitoring them when they are playing with it, just because there can be some items in there that they could possibly choke on. But I definitely watched Oliver play with it, and he was just so enamored with it, and it was definitely a fun project. If children are monitored while playing with this, I definitely would give this an A+ because he found this really fascinating, and I think you can make it with larger bottles and just have a lot of fun with it. You could totally play around with it and make it your own, and it's definitely a fun project for kids. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please thumbs up this video and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. Check out my last 2 videos and my website, racheltalbott.com, and I'll see you very soon.